Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.
What do officials of the I've Known Rivers Pavilion hope to achieve with their museum?
We would really, for the first time, show our history the way that it's recorded and should be recorded in books.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Hinton.
And I'm Genevieve Stewart. Today on Folks, we'll be visiting the Afro-American Pavilion of the New Orleans World's Fair. We'll take you on a quick tour of the pavilion and talk with the man who designed it.
The pavilion also features entertainment, and we'll share with you the remarkable talent of soprano Sheila Gautreaux of New Orleans. A look at the I've Known Rivers Afro-American Pavilion today on Folks.
Everybody says folks, just plain old folks. Everybody's just people all over the world. The folks who live, folks got to give, folks got to care, folks got to share. Our world is small, so very small. What touches one of us, who touches us all? To stay alive, just to survive, folks got to be in harmony. Everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks, everybody just folks, just plain old folks, just plain old folks. Everybody just folks.
Welcome to the Afro-American Pavilion at the New Orleans World's Fair. The title of the pavilion is I've Known Rivers, keeping with the fair's water theme. The title comes from a Langston Hughes poem entitled The Negro Speaks of Rivers. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Let us now go inside and take a look at the I've Known Rivers Afro-American Pavilion.
You are about to enter the middle passageway and experience the voyage thousands of Africans encountered in their transport to the New World between 1619, when the first shipload of Africans arrived in Virginia, and 1807. This was their introduction to the United States of America. This is our history section, and we have pictures of maybe some of the slaves, how they lived, and the different environments that they lived in. We also have a picture of a slave showing you the way some of them were treated. There's whelps as well as scars on his back. And here we have a picture of Harriet Tubman, who freed over 300 slaves in an underground railroad. Here's a picture of Frederick Douglass, who's one of our great educators. And we have his glasses as well as his watch, which was donated to us by Howard University. As we move along this way, we have pictures of the first black senators that ever existed in the early 1800s. Here we have our Reconstruction period. We have a picture of Mary McLeod Bethune. We have Nat Love, who was called one of our Buffalo soldiers or cowboys. And the reason why he was called this, the Indians gave him this name because of the coats that they wore, which were made out of buffalo skins. Okay, as we enter our Arts and Culture division, we have a mural of the Fisk University Jubilee Singers. They raised over $150,000 in order to build this university. Here we have a picture of Martin Luther King Jr., who led the first nonviolent movement, and some contributions from his times. Over here we have a showcase that we'd like you to see of various contributions from Tuskegee University. Here we have Bert Williams Shoes, who was a black comedian, He was the first black comedian to do a minstrel show. We also have the first cornet that belonged to Louis Armstrong, and we have Ellis Marcellus, Wynton Marcellus, and Bradford Marcellus, who are residents of New Orleans and very popular musicians. Wynton won 2 Grammy Awards this past year. Over here we have books that were written and published by black authors. Some of our first publications by Langston Hughes and Paul Laurence Dunbar. In our education, politics, and law divisions, we have a picture of Mary McLeod Bethune, who's one of our great educators, along with Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass. A lot of high schools as well as colleges have been named after them. As we move along to our business and commerce divisions, here we have a sculpture that was done by Al Laverne, who's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We call this piece our barbershop scene. Also in our business and commerce division, we dedicate this division to Madam C.J. Walker, who was the first black millionaire in the cosmetic industry. Along the back wall here, we have photographs of Madam C.J. Walker and pictures of hairstyles that started back in the 1900s until the present time. In our science and technology divisions, from a peanut to an astronaut, black Americans have derived ways of improving their world through science. In this division, we have such scientists as George Washington Carver and Dr. Charles Drew. Here we have a picture of Dr. Carver and some inventions that he had, as well as a Bible that was given to him as a Sunday school teacher. He also invented his own watercolors, which we see here, a picture that he did, as well as his own Bunsen burner and grater, which is behind the photograph. As we move along this way, we'll see the first black astronaut, whose name is John S. Bluford. All right, in our art exhibit, we have contributions from P.H. Polk and Tuskegee University. There will be periodical changes in our art exhibit. As donations come in for display, we will be changing them.
The conceiver and senior artist for I've Known Rivers is John Scott. The pavilion began as his dream. He believes in dreams, for as this spectacular exhibit attests, dreams can come true. Mr. Scott, when you conceived the idea for the I've Known Rivers Pavilion, what did you hope to achieve through the pavilion?
Well, 2 things. One is that we would really, for the first time, show our history the way that it's recorded and should be recorded in books for a number of reasons. One is, I think, especially for young black children, they don't know their history. 2, for young white children, because they don't know of at least half of American history that took place. I personally believe that the only way for people to begin to get along and understand each other is to get rid of the myths and the fears. And fear is nothing more than the unknown. Therefore, we wanted to put a lot of information out that would hopefully destroy the unknown. Also, a great deal of the culture of this country is out of the Afro-American experience. And I think it's time that the country understood. Maybe we will precipitate the writing of the first American history book because it hasn't been written yet.
In pulling this entire exhibit together, what have you learned?
Well, I think the only thing I've learned so far is how much I really don't know. Because the more research we do, the more research we find needs to be done. For example, if you go in the George Washington Carver area in the exhibit, you will see a list of inventors before 1900. And finding that information was just, I mean, it was incredible. Like the egg beater, the convertible settee, the fountain pen, and you can go on, and nobody ever told me that. I mean, I've gone through a lot of schools in this country, but nobody ever said that, you know. Finding that kind of information that we are a technological people. You know, when we were told that, you know, that we don't deal in technologies, mathematics is beyond us, science is beyond us. I've learned how much I don't know.
The finished product, the pavilion itself, is different from your original artist conception. Seemingly the artistic content has been scaled down. What happened?
Well, in any plans, you start with an ideal, utopia, and then you deal with reality. And we scaled a lot of the idea down in many ways. We don't think we scale quality down at all. We did scale down some of the ideas because of just the amount of information, the amount of financing it takes to do it, and that. But we really and truly believe that we have a totally unique experience here. And to my knowledge, the first time it's really been done in a World Fair setting, that there is an Afro-American pavilion. You know, I think if you walk through the whole fair in terms of space, architecture, design, I don't think we have to be humble to anybody.
What has been your greatest disappointment, and what has been your greatest joy and satisfaction?
I wish more people would have gotten out and supported the idea. I just think it's extremely important that more people believe in the dream. I think one of the things that concern me with any idea, not just the Afro-American Pavilion, is it's so easy for us to say we can't rather than we can. And I think if you're going to be a dreamer, and most of us are, I don't think you can afford to start off on a negative. You know, I think if the dream is worth having, then you have to start off thinking you can do it. And that has been my biggest disappointment, in that even some of the people that are in charge of this fair did not believe this thing was going to happen. And to me, that was probably the greatest impetus in the world, because I hate to be told I can't. You know, I mean, we've been told that since we got off the boat. And eventually, folks are going to have to admit that, yes, we can. I think that the most exciting thing that has happened to me since this whole idea got started was the face of some kids when they walked through here and simply said, this is ours. I don't think there's any money or any praise or any recognition that can ever be greater than that, because my personal feeling is that this was done for the children, you know, my son and other children. And if they can identify with this as something positive in their lives at this point in time, imagine what they can do. You know, if they can be made to believe in their dreams and their hopes now, God, I'd like to be around in 50 years, because I think we will have set a tone that they have to follow. As I said before in talking to someone about the pavilion, I think my greatest inspiration for doing this was someday I will have to face my ancestors. And they're going to ask, what did you do? And I don't want to ever say I should have or I could have. At least I can say I tried. Well, someday my son and his son's son's going to have to face me, and the same question will be asked. What did you do? You know, and I don't want to hear I should have or I could have. So I think that's the way I feel about the whole thing.
What has been the response of the visitors?
Extremely positive. Some people, of course, have taken exception. Some folks think that it's negative to talk about slavery. I don't think the truth is ever negative. I mean, truth is truth. I don't think it'll go away if you ignore it. Some people have been extremely emotional. There have been some folks that cried going through the Middle Passage. You know, there's been a tremendous amount of pride on the part of people. I think walking into Frederick Douglass's glasses and his watch, and it still works. You know, seeing what George Washington Carver has contributed. I mean, seeing the young performers in here that some people had never heard of. I mean, seeing this kind of talent is here. You know, I think a lot of people leave out with a tremendous response. There's a number of artist friends of mine in the city that responded to the fact that artists and architects collaborated on something, and it worked. You know, I mean, it really worked. The space works. There's no dead space in here. The exhibitry works. And the idea, form and content became one. It was not a battle of egos. It was a battle to solve a problem, to present something. So the response has been very, very positive, you know, when people come in. I think there are some people that see the title on the front of it and won't come near it, you know, but that's changing because word is getting out that there's something here worth seeing.
Is your dream of a permanent site for the exhibit coming to fruition?
I think it will. I mean, you know, things are slow, but it's coming. I think it's absolutely necessary that this first footstep become a journey, you know, and this is nothing more than a first footstep. This needs to be permanent. It needs to be expanded. I think, you know, this is only the tip of the iceberg. The whole diaspora must be dealt with. And Afro-American should really be Afro-Americas, because there are black people that have been brought here that are all over the Americas. If we are really and truly to understand the impact of African people in the Western Hemisphere, then we have to understand that whole story, not just the boundaries of the United States. It's much larger than that. You know, our contribution is much larger than that, and I think this can be the first step in understanding that.
Now, 3 times a day, the pavilion offers live entertainment. And while we were here, we had a chance to witness the remarkable talent of Sheila Gautreaux of New Orleans.
We met, alas, with smiles of pure delight. We sought each other then by day and dreamed of love by night. Again at early morn we strove, we could not be content, till the shrine of love we'd met and blissful moments spent. Oh, Helen, once all the world to me. Alas, I knew no sorrow until bereft of thee. Tis sad now to recall to mind the pleasures of the past. My grief-worn heart's full of distress to think my loved ones lost. I've wandered many a weary step since she whom I adore has fled, alas, I know not where, perhaps forevermore. Oh, Helen, and all the world to me. How could you thus deceive me and break my fond heart?
Sheila Gautreaux and Moses Hogan have also been among many artists featured in concert by the Crescent City chapter of Links Incorporated. In a relatively short period of time, Louisiana's newest chapter of Links have made a very real and significant impact in the arts and education. This group of 30 dynamic professional women share a commitment and dedication to improving life in New Orleans' black community. Crescent City Links have an abiding philosophy that women have a profound responsibility to give back to the community which so generously nurtured and supported them. Their careers vary from doctors and dentists to educators and realtors. President Delores Heglar describes one of their projects in which their varied professional backgrounds were of great service in counseling battered women.
Crescent House is a center for a temporary housing facility for abused women. They come there, some stay a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, I think is the maximum stay, until they're able to find other housing. Many come without anything but the clothes on their back. Currently they're averaging, I think about 60% of the women coming there are minorities, but it crosses all social and economic classes in the city, from doctors' wives to people who are on public assistance. And we've been trying to help out first by donations with clothing. We are sponsoring one of the holiday dinners, Easter dinner, and we're also, as a group, because we have such a very professional background, as a group we're providing professional service from emergency dental care, from emergency help with medical care, to social services, educational services, to, number one, provide the service, and also to serve as hopefully a role model for many of the people who are residents there, that they can see that there are women who are able to get out and make it and help in any way we can with it.
Senior citizens to youthful computer aspirants have been impacted by this group. Junior high school students were treated to a 2-week introduction to computers as another project. Program Chairman Loraine Wilson explains.
The computer camp was held in collaboration with a vacation church school. It provided students with hands-on experiences just into introduction to the computer and understanding the language, basic language. The camp was 2 weeks, and we had 2 tutors who were in on a daily basis, 1 hour a day working with the students. We were most fortunate to have the computers donated through a microcomputer company, and we're looking forward to expanding it this summer again through that church and perhaps using some other vacation church schools where children already exist, and certainly we don't have that recruiting aspect to be involved also.
The Crescent City Link's most unique impact has probably been in the arts. They diligently persevered with the New Orleans Symphony to include and expand black classical artists in their performing schedule. They have hosted a dance outreach showcase featuring Daniel Maloney as choreographer. They also assisted the New Orleans Museum of Arts in preparation for Elizabeth Catlett's exhibit. Catlett is a world-acclaimed black artist who has contributed numerous works to the United Nations. Their chamber art series have included lectures, concerts, and autograph parties to help promote black authors.
Why a chamber art series?
We've not had a medium for the artists to perform, and it's a small setting, and initially we started out just within the group itself, and we felt really guilty after the first one because it was so good and it seemed almost a crime not to share it. And after that, when we decided, we went to the third one, that we would open it up to the public. We sent out invitations to come, and we feel when we get to the 4th or 5th we'll expand it a little more, but they just need a place in order to showcase their talents. No one is coming knocking on their doors, and this is a way for them to open up to the community and share that talent with the community.
During a time of high unemployment and manifest hunger, especially in New Orleans, many people may wonder if sponsoring programs in the arts isn't somewhat frivolous. Well, the Crescent City chapter disagrees. They feel that even during the ravages of slavery, creative song and the expressive word were soothing to the soul.
The problem is that for the community at large, they're not aware that we have such talent within the city. And many times for an average person, especially average black person in the community, may not stop to think about going to the symphony or realize that when you go, you will see a black performer there. And we're trying to enlighten the community to get them to rally behind and support. When we had DeAntoinette Handy over to talk to us, she brought out, I think, really zero in on the plight of a black musician, especially one who wanted to play in a symphony or an orchestra, that you just, when you're in school, in music school, the teachers are telling you the only thing you can do is teach music. And we want black children in the community to know that they can do more than just teach music. They can get out there and perform, get in an orchestra, a symphony, sing opera. You don't have to take that talent of yours and just teach, although teaching is fine, but we don't want them to restrict themselves. So this is a way, I think, for us to spotlight the artists and at the same time let the kids and other people in the community know that you have other avenues if you have that talent. And there are people who are willing to support you to try to help you reach your fullest potential.
The Crescent City Links are affiliated nationally with 190 chapters of Links Incorporated. Its 4,000 members include the nation's most accomplished black women. In spite of the growing disparity among the black middle class and the underprivileged, the Links care and are making a vital contribution to closing the economic and educational gap.
We have so many things that need to be done. And when you have a group of energetic women getting together who feel like they owe the community, and we feel we have, in some way, we've got to give back to the community. It's a good community, and we need to give something back to the community. And you try to get out and start doing things, and you feel that you just can't begin to do enough. And you're overwhelmed. There were so many nights there were tears shed because we felt like we really weren't right out there making a difference. But I think little by little, with individual people, we may not be felt on a community-wide basis, but individually, with many people, we have made a difference.
That's our program for this week. Thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week with more interesting stories right here on Folks. Until then, make it a good week.
King Jesus lit the candle by the waterside to see little children when they truly baptize. Unto the dying lamb. King Jesus lit the candle by the waterside to see little children when they truly baptize. Unto the dying lamb. So run along, children, and be baptized. My pretty meeting by the waterside. Unto the dying lamb. So run along, children, and be baptized. My pretty meeting by the waterside. Unto the dying lamb. I prayed all day. I prayed all night. My head got sprinkled with a midnight dew. Unto the dying lamb. So run along, children, and be baptized by the pretty meeting by the waterside. Unto the dying lamb. So run along, children, and be baptized by the pretty meeting by the waterside. Unto the dying lamb. I prayed all day. I prayed all night. My head got sprinkled with a midnight dew. Unto the dying lamb. So run along, children, be baptized by the pretty meeting by the waterside. Unto the dying lamb. So run along, children, and be baptized by the pretty meeting by the waterside. Unto the dying lamb.
Funding for the production of Folks is provided in part by the Friends of LPB.